I felt so alienated from Judaism, so disinterested, turned off by it, really.
I had a very rich Jewish upbringing, but something was missing.
I wanted to figure out if I believed in God, and I felt like to do that I had to learn more.
Adamah, v'shamayim, chom ha'esh, shlil hamayim, ani margish zot begufi, beruchi v'nishmati. Adamah is a Mecca. It's a beacon of light. It is proof that you can be young, socially progressive, ecologically conscious, and Jewish.
Something moved me to do a Google search for Jewish organic farms. I don't know what it was. It just kind of happened. It wasn't really intentional or thought out. And I came across the Adamah Fellowship.
I realized that there were other Judaisms out there, and I wanted to pursue a different example of it.
So, why do we, as Jews or as human seekers, why do we climb mountains? To see the unknown, to take a journey, good. What else?
You can see all around, you can see everything, all the horizon.
There's the view and the clarity and the sense of perspective. Great.
You worked hard to get there.
You worked hard to get there. And some of that physical exertion will be so demanding, it'll silence your mind.
When I first got here, I was trying to take it all in. I remember being pretty quiet in the beginning, and I wrote in my journal. We all came here with stories, experiences, backgrounds, education, intentions, our past. And then we have our present, today, this summer.
We walk up the mountain silently, and we ask the question, why are you here?
I'm here because I have a hard time being in the moment.
I was having trouble with how exactly Judaism was going to fit into my life.
I had no sense of who I was, nationally, religiously, spiritually.
While we were hiking up, I was looking down, and I wasn't even looking around, and I didn't feel the wind or hear the wind the way I did when we were blindfolded.
I really felt connected, not just to the person holding my shoulders and to the person whose shoulders I was holding, but to everybody.
In the fall, I was in India, and I ended up at a Zen monastery. And then the Jewish guilt came in and was like, what are you doing at a Zen monastery? And so then I thought, okay, I'm gonna figure out what it means to be Jewish. And that's a really big thing to figure out.
I asked myself, how can I take my background that started in a suburban home where awareness of the environment, eating organically, locally, and even engaging in the world through radically listening was far from reality, and transform that, and allow myself to feel empowered by this and use it to act?
It's great to start the day singing. Usually we start the day with all the thoughts of all the things we have to do in the day and all the reasons that we're stressed out and already behind from yesterday. And to stop and say, no, this is really good, and I'm here, and my body works, and my mind works, and my soul works.
I can feel it in my body, in my spirit, and in my soul.
I think that this program speaks a lot to Jews our age.
I showed up here and was just floored from day one by a lot of aspects of it, one of them being I've been involved in intentional communities before, but I hadn't seen one that so seamlessly united kind of like the intellectual and the physical.
I think something that's helpful for me is learning by doing.
This field, the Sadeh, is one of my greatest teachers, and it will be one of your greatest teachers. It will listen when you just need to get it out, and these vegetables know so many secrets and so many stories that all of you are going to talk about as you're working. It's a real place of of wisdom and catharsis, but also just we're going to work our butts off to help these plants grow. But at the very heart of it, it's totally beyond us. It's a miracle.
My initial response before coming here was, I'll work on the ground with my hands, partake in a process. I'll do all of this through a Jewish framework while expanding my knowledge of Jewish tradition and ritual. I'll develop a personal Jewish practice.
The farming and the Jewish connection really was fleshed out in afternoon study, and we have a lot of visiting rabbis and scholars, and we would study text and retrace the agricultural roots and origins in Judaism.
It just opened the door to the possibility of Judaism and environmentalism being compatible.
It's just such an incredible experience to have been in the greenhouse and started off these cucumber plants and then transplant them into the ground here, watch them grow. Cucumbers, there's always a surprise. Everything is kind of underneath. You never know where the cucumber is going to be.
We struggle, we envision our dreams, and we try to enact. And maybe we fail, and then we try again, perhaps with a different approach, and then hopefully we succeed to live out the changes that we want to see in this world. At the end of fasting on Tisha B'Av, we went for a walk in the woods. Shamu explained to us that as the temple was being destroyed, the keepers of the temple held up the keys and said, Almighty, we have not been faithful keepers.
How can we be faithful keepers, right? We're going to talk about the ways in which we've failed to be faithful keepers of this land, and we'll also get to talk about individually ways that we've experienced personally loss of the ecological whole.
The world, our homes, the Sadeh, these can all be our sanctuaries. And I have learned that the key back to the keys that were symbolically relinquished at the destruction of the temple is what happens here.
The question is, now, when we're asked again, can we be the keepers? Can we be faithful keepers? Can we, take the keys back? How do we make things right that we've done wrong, right? How do we do that? I would say one of the ways we do that is by standing in places like this.
Here, we are learning how to repair. How do we create harmony between ourselves and the land? And I and a you. We create community. We create we.
The first day we talked about the teaching from Rabbi Nachman that each of us, each soul, each day moves from slavery to liberation to redemption. Right? Each day we do that. And these 3 months are just another way of marking time and marking that journey.
The Adamah experience has the potential to reinvigorate my generation and future generation and older generations of Jews.
It's one of the healthiest communities I've ever lived in.
It was probably one of the best educations I ever got. And that includes, college and grade school and everything.
Before, I kind of felt that I was pursuing my love of farming in spite of my religion, and now I feel like I'm pursuing it through my religion.
Not only do I feel like I've learned a bit of the vocabulary that made me feel like an outsider before, but I also feel like I've been granted sort of the ability to take control of my Judaism.
I felt like I quit my life and I was launching into something, and Adamah was going to be 3 months of just kind of rejuvenation and being outside and learning something new and doing something different. And it turns out it totally changed my life.
Adamah,